Hello and welcome, everyone. You are tuning into another CCDC Short, where we tackle hot business topics with experts with 5 questions in 5 minutes or less. Today, you are tuning in to talk about the new earned sick and safe time leave that will come into effect for Minnesotans on January 1st. Minnesota's earned sick and safe time law requires employers to provide paid leave to employees who work within the state. Sick and safe time is paid time off that employers in Minnesota can use for certain reasons, including when they are sick, to care for a family member, or to seek assistance if they have a family member if they or a family member have experienced domestic abuse. So today we have with us Dave Scoville with the Department of Labor and Industry. He is our expert for today, and we are going to get started with our 5 questions. So thanks for joining us today, Dave.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, okay, earn sick and safe time. This comes into effect for all employers on January 1st of 2024. So explain to us, who is eligible for sick and safe time?
Yeah, and I think you just hit on it right there. It is for all employers. So the main thing that this law does is that it expands access to paid leave for sick, health-related reasons to basically all workers or employees across the state. That's the essential main thing it does.
Okay, and are these now employers have full-time and part-time employees? So who would be eligible? Is it everyone who is an employee? Is it a contractor? Explain a little bit about that.
Sure. As long as there's an employee-employer relationship, then they're going to be eligible to start accruing, and they're working in Minnesota. So like you said, people that are independent contractors, those people are not eligible because they're not in an employee relationship, employer relationship there. And as long as they're working at least 80 hours in Minnesota, they're going to be eligible. So there's no group of employers in terms of like having a small size that are excluded from this. This is from 1 employee on up. It's across the board. Federal employees are also excluded, as well as some employees that work for airlines, but that's basically it. It really is pretty inclusive.
Okay, I think that's an important piece, that if they work for you for 80 hours, then they are eligible for this new sick and safe time.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the formula. How much sick and safe time can employees earn?
So yeah, this is set up as a minimum, similar to like a minimum wage law. So lots of employers do have current PTO and minimum wage plan, minimum hours plans in terms of sick time. But what is required is at least 1 hour of accruing time for earned sick and safe time for every 30 hours worked, and then up to 48 hours per year. That's where employers can max that out, as far as accruing 48 hours or 6, kind of full-time days per year.
Okay, great. And we talked a little bit about this in the description, but what can sick and safe time be used for? Because it's not titled vacation time. So what would this be used for?
No, absolutely. So there's kind of 5 main buckets of that. So let's go through each of the 5. So one is for the employee's own physical or mental illness or treatment or preventative care. The second reason would be if it's for a family member's care in those same ways: physical, mental illnesses, preventative care. So they're needing to help that person get that care that's needed. The third reason is the safe time part that we talked about. So if somebody's having issues in their life related to domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking, and they need to address those issues and they need time off from work to do that, that would be number 3. Number 4 is if the employee or worker's workplace closes for the day, and that would be public emergency, inclement weather types of situations, or the school or place of care of their family member that they care for, that closes and they're unable to work due to that. So, and then number 5 is kind of coming back to some of the health-related reasons. So that's if a health professional or a health authority determines that that person is at risk of infecting others with a communicable disease.
Okay. So how will this, I know many employers already have paid time off programs. So how will that interact with, or how will this new law interact with their existing paid time off?
Yeah, absolutely. So most employers that have paid time off programs or sick leave programs are probably offering enough leave right now, or close to enough. So it's really looking at, are we providing enough leave? Are we providing it for all of our employees? Potentially employers are not providing it for the part-time or temporary or seasonal, or for people that are in their first year, for example. So looking at that, are we, is it inclusive of everybody? And then looking at things like what we just talked about, like, are we allowing it for it to be used for the same reasons, for all the same reasons? Are we allowing it to be used to caring for the same list of family members? And then there's other parts of the law like carryover. If the employer closes, or if the employee returns back to work after they leave working for the employer, there are certain requirements around that. So just making sure that those policies that employers currently have kind of match all of those criteria.
Okay, that makes sense. So I know this is a big law and a big change, and we're trying to cover a lot in a short amount of time, but are there any other key details that you feel employers should be aware of before we wrap up?
Okay, yeah, I'll touch on 3 of them, and there are a number of other ones as well, so would encourage people to follow up, but kind of the 3 things. So what we talked about, the 1 hour for every 30 and up to 48 hours per year. One option, employers do have an option there, and that's called front loading. So they could just supply all those hours at the beginning of the year, not have to worry about tracking that throughout the year. So that's another option in terms of doing the accrual, just front load those hours. So a second part of that that's related is carryover, and that there is a requirement that if people have unused time at the end of their accrual year, that they would be able to carry over that unused time, and which could be capped at 80 total hours. So that's another part of it. A third thing I'll mention is earning statements, check stubs, pay stubs. There's also a new part of the law that states that on those check stubs, it should state the total number of hours available for use, as well as any hour stating how many hours were used in the last pay period. So that's one where employers are going to want to kind of get with their payroll providers or payroll software and make sure that they have that kind of set up and functioning as we get to into the new year.
That's great. Those were helpful tips. So that is earned sick and safe time in 5 minutes or less. I know that there is a lot more that employers should start diving into as this does become effective January 1st, 2024. So where would they go to do additional research?
Yeah, we have a spot. We have a web page, a homepage, landing page, dli.mn.gov/sick-leave. I'm sure that can be just Googled and found as well. And then we love to get phone calls from employers to help them with any of these laws that we work on. 651-284-5075.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for joining us today for this CCDC short. You're a wealth of information. We do encourage employers to start looking into this and to start comparing it to their existing paid time off. And thank you for the additional resources so that they can follow up. This was the CCDC short. My name is Christy Barson with the Hastings Area Chamber of Commerce. CCDC is the Chamber Coalition of Dakota County Chambers, which is a partnership between the Hastings, Lakeville, Apple Valley, Burnsville, and River Heights Chamber of Commerce. So thanks for joining us today.